WordPress.com is a blog and website hosting service that is run by Automatic. Look at the lower right hand corner, you'll see that it says an Automatic app. When you click on an Automatic app, it brings you to their home site where you can see what some of their other projects are. But if we want to find more about them, we can simply click on their About Us. When browsing through this page, you can see that it doesn't tell you much as to who the company is. But what you can see is some of their staff, such as Barry, who's a systems wrangler. So the Automatic site doesn't really give you much about WordPress.com. But if you go back to the home page and you go to Terms of Services, you get more information as to what WordPress.com is. And as you can see, it tells you that it's run by the folks at Automatic, and it's for the everyday user, because as you can see, it says, our service is designed to give you as much control and ownership over what goes on your site as possible and encourage you to express yourself freely. However, they do ask you to be responsible with what you publish. Okay, so now on to their terms of service. So we're going to scroll on down, and their terms of service are pretty clearly laid out and easy to understand language for anybody to understand. And there were several things that I found interesting, specifically in the responsibility of contributors. And in this case, a contributor is an individual, so it's the everyday person that can create content on this site. And what I found interesting was that it says that by submitting content on Automatic, you grant them a worldwide, royalty-free, and non-exclusive license to reproduce anything that you post on their website, and it's solely for the purpose of promoting and distributing your blog. And then also another thing that I found interesting is that they have the right to remove any of your content if it doesn't fit within their code of conduct. And then the other thing that I found really interesting in their terms of service is when you head down to their advertisements, and it pretty much just states that they have the right to display advertisements on your blog unless you've purchased the ad-free upgrade or a VIP services account. Alright, so overall the individual is the sole owner of all the content published on their WordPress.com site. The only time that their ownership is really impacted is when WordPress.com takes their own content, as stated earlier, and they modify it for promotion, but it's not necessarily a negative thing because, like it says, it's promoting your blog, so to a certain extent is a positive thing as long as they don't modify your content to the extreme. Alright, so if we do want to find out a little bit more about WordPress.com, we can go into standards and pours. What I did notice is that when you look for it in the system, you have no results. So then I typed in Automatic since it says it's run by Automatic, and here we go. You can see I've already searched it up. Nothing pops up for them, and it's the same thing with Hoovers. If I go to Wikipedia, I can see WordPress.com, and it gives me what WordPress.com is. Again, it says the same thing. It's a blog, web, and hosting service provider owned by Automatic. And here we see that it's powered by the open source WordPress software. Overall, the information on here seems to be pretty reliable. We can go down and we can check their sources to see where they've gotten their information from, and here we go. We have WordPress.com, 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 so they're reliable sources, and then they provide an external link which brings you back to their website. Okay, so if we wanted to find out more about WordPress.com, we could also go into the network solutions, and once you type that domain in, you see who the registrant is, which we can see. It's Automatic, and there's information for them. And then you also have administrative contact information and technical contact information as well. Alright, so after viewing the wiki and the Hoovers and the standards and poor, I would say that the more comprehensive information comes from the actual website, WordPress.com. Okay, so now we're going to get into the advertising, and earlier I had stated when going through their terms of service, it said that you can opt out of advertising. So if you opt for a free blog, that's it. You get a free blog. You don't get domain name and mapping, the extra storage space. You get ads on yours. So this is my own personal blog, and it's not a paid one, so it's free. So as a result, my URL ends in .wordpress.com. If I had paid for it, it would say thehungryredfox.com versus .wordpress.com. So when I click on a post, at the bottom of my blog entry, there is going to be an ad. So here's the ad, and as you can see, it's not anywhere really visible on my website. It's not obstructing anything. It's pretty simple all the way at the bottom. Alright, so we can learn a little bit more about the little YouTube ad that's embedded into my blog entry. And when you do that, it brings you to this, and it says that this is part of the Words ad program that has been elected to show ads and earn money from their site. So pretty much WordPress.com has the option to embed advertisements within my blog entries, and the reason they have the right to do that is because I haven't purchased or opted out of it by paying them to not show ads on mine. And if I want to find out a little more about their word ad program, I can. So the way these ads work on WordPress.com is that you are targeted by outside advertisers who are allowed to place cookies on your website browser because they're not covered by the WordPress.com privacy policy. So they are allowed to track you that way and target you as well. So this is the main way that WordPress.com makes money, by allowing outside advertisers to target individuals, and WordPress.com doesn't actually collect any personal information from the users. The only thing it collects is an email, and then other than that, nothing is disclosed from them. So advertisement overall shouldn't negatively impact the content because it is targeted, so it's based on the interest of the user. Alright, so as you can see, here's our privacy policy. It's pretty simple. The only time that they really need personal information is when it's vital to their operation, and it just tends to be their email to reach them. Okay, so now that we have collusion up, we can see who WordPress.com has been sending information to about me. And when I hover over the icon, WordPress, okay, we can see that it says who it's informing, which websites it's informing about me, and we can see that it's informing Twitter, CreativeCommons.org, CloudFront.net, Google Analytics, Kissmetrics, Gravatar. So these are actually some of the services that WordPress.com has, so it's good to know that they're not really sending them out to advertisers. And the Twitter.com, I have my blog hooked up with that, so based on this, they seem to be following their privacy policy. After visiting privacyfix.com, the only place where WordPress.com shows up is in the websites with other issues, and what it says is that my personal data may be retained after termination, and that no assurance of notice if data is requested. So this is something I would definitely have to go back into their privacy policy section and read a little bit more up upon to see what happens with my data if I decide to terminate my account or they decide to terminate it, and what it constitutes. But other than that, as for my privacy fix with them, I am okay.